So to those of you who did get the boxes or are considering it, thank you very much. That support for the channel is always welcome. You're shaking your head at yourself for chipping your tooth on salsa, huh? Hey, you know what? What if it was stone ground? Mm-hmm. What kind of sick pun is that? Oh yeah, because it's on chips and salsa. Yep. Oh. Ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-dum ba-dum bum ba-dum. Wow. Oh, sheeps. But you know what? You come here to commiserate, and hopefully we can help you with a smile. Alright, so we used our character randomizer. We came up with the party. We went through an interesting worksheet. A way, not the way, but a way you can lay your individual characters out and take a look at who the party is in a statistical manner with the coverage of your skills. You know, what are your scores so you can see your highs and lows, you know, and take a look. This is something to definitely consider. If this party is showing up and you're the dungeon master, how are you going to scale these encounters that you're going to challenge your barbarians, but you're not going to absolutely raffle stomp your monks? Hey, there you go, Hark. Finally, I beat Strahd. There you go. I'll tell you what, oh sheeps, are you going to be on for a little bit tonight? All right. Everyone then. Everybody. I am going to make an announcement. This is something that was kind of in the works, though we have a bit of a changing of the guard that's going to be going on here on the channel. For all the good reasons, Macabre Derek and Coffee Cat Presents are becoming very busy with their own channels and running games and growing communities and absolutely being wonderful people. And so, it behooves me to relieve them of their swords of moderation. You know, if you truly love something, you must set it free. And so, in discussions with them, and it's all absolutely friendly and mutual, we are going to have a bit of a changing of the guard tonight. And so, I'm going to unmod Macabre Derek and Coffee Cat Presents. And so, I would love for all of you, they're doing excellent things. Coffee Cat is running art streams, is going to be running a vampire game. Derek is absolutely having a fantastic vampire game, an art stream and a workshop session for World of Darkness, specifically vampire. And so, I would like to confer the Sword of Moderation upon O Sheeps. O Sheeps, please say something and wield your sword. And there you have it, everyone. O Sheeps says, "It me." And so everyone, please the changing of the guard has occurred. O Sheeps has volunteered to step up in a spot of moderation, and so you know, she's been here often, She knows the ropes, very friendly, greets people, often leads the cheers when we're opening boxes. I'd like to thank my mom and dad, but also my parents. And so, oh sheeps, to celebrate your new moderation powers, you may randomly ban a random... No, I'm just... Refry, hey Refry. Speaking of people who are getting boxes of minis sent out their way. Coffee Cat Presents, all one word. Coffee Cat Presents. You can find Coffee also over on Derek's, Macabre Derek's channel. Now, oh sheeps, this is going to be an important lesson in moderation. Beyond just recognizing that there's so many cool people here. When folks successfully do things like defeat Strahd von Zarovich, and they are due experience points. In this case, if we scroll up to Hark won 4,000 experience points. And so to confer experience points on folks, you type in exclamation point, add points, one word, exclamation point, add points, space, name. So in this case, it's Harkusta. Space, the number, which is 4,000. So exclamation point, add points, Hark. Bada boom! Your first official command is to reward Hark for finally in all the epic adventures facing Strahd, you finally got him. What does experience points do? Right now, it's bragging rights, and you can have fun by fighting random monsters, dueling each other, pulling from the deck of many things. You can kind of do an impromptu character generation with Res Please. Hey Donnie, welcome. Speaking of more folks who have a shipment going out. And you know what? Dum, bum, 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 bum. I have to find you on Discord and also grant you a sword there. Where are you? Var est sheeps. Unless you just signed in when I was looking beyond you here. Dun, 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 dun. There's sheeps. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Someone is located up here now. And then I'm going to have a conversation where we're going to swap the guard. And so, sheeps, you and Darkwolf are... you're kind of the den moms to us kids. So you got to take us to soccer and bake us brownies and stuff like that, okay? Oh, the wolf in the lamb. Hey, there you go. There you go. As you do. You'll also find that there's a new section on our Discord that opened up to you. All right, anyway. So, congratulations. Congratulations on that, oh sheeps. And you made soda bread today as well. Brownies or cookies would absolutely work. So after our ceremony, congratulations, oh sheeps. All the num-nums. Let's go over the exercise that we started, well, not really started, that we did last week, where we see what information we can draw off of our character sheets alone. We don't have, 20-page backstories, and it's kind of a meme. Some people might do it. We don't have 20-page backstories. We don't have art for the characters. We have a solid character, though. And let's find out what can exist in the world because our characters exist. The simple act of creating a character absolutely generates world content because you're creating someone who's a product of the world. And it doesn't even have to be a nature versus nurture. It's both. Nature and nurture exist in some capacity to produce the character that has these specific results, these outcomes. The numbers, or the crunch, or the fluffy stuff, the roleplay stuff. So it'd probably be best for me to head to bed to prep for my grand finale tomorrow in your campaign. Ember, have fun planning. Dream of delicious brownies. Thank you for being here again. It's a delight to have you. Remember, I do not broadcast Sundays or Mondays, but we'll come back on Tuesday, and we're going to roleplay. Yes, we will. Oh, yes, we will. I do declare. Lost Kitten 7. Oh, well, hopefully you don't feel lost any longer. Welcome. Thank you for following. Characters creating the world is one of the reasons why I love character creation of apocalypse world games, where there's no world until a player tell you what's in it. And that might be like baked into the rules in that case. So for D&D, we're going to have to extrapolate. Now I'm using extrapolate correctly. We're going to have to extrapolate that information or interpolate them. Or project it by the things that are said or by the things that are unsaid. We'll have to put our hats on for this. Just, a little bit. Now, starting with Fleppany here. Starting with Fleppany, what are some setting cues that we can take from her? Well, what's in a name? Nothing necessarily. We had in the Humblewood section someone who is from a town of Willow Chatter, and so in the name there was a place called Willow Chatter. Fleppany, maybe not so much. Now, maybe the Warjer family is prominent, but that would be maybe more of an NPC thing. Now, as a barbarian, okay, so we have training. Barbarian, well, even barbarians don't have to be training per se. We did acquire this wild soul some way, somehow, and as I was talking to Trustaflumph, who actually set time aside impromptu and hopped into voice chat to help create this character, we were talking about her, and so her barbarian expression, her wild soul, is in her Fae blood. She favors her human self, though this wild blood runs in her. And when it bursts, it bursts. Yeah, Paisy, exactly. So here, let's go to our background. She's a shipwright. There's a very good chance then that she's making sailing ships, unless you want it to be sky ships, or you want something like a desert sled that uses wind. Maybe that could work. So we're getting this for setting cues. There is a shipwrights guild / docks, and of course all the accoutrements that have to exist. If you're building ships, you have lumber mills in a forest. You have nails and brackets and blacksmiths, and therefore mines. And by simply saying one thing exists, suddenly a vast network of related economic transactions occur. Now, so very specifically, there's a shipwrights guild. She studied there, she works there, or worked there. And there's some kind of docks. Pardon. Could be dry docks. She could even have an office job. I mean, we said she was swinging a hammer, but still. And so, therefore, a body of water. Because you can build ships for a river, a lake, the ocean, like for ocean going, or just a small, like an inland sea. All right, Kyra. Have a good night. Thank you for coming by again. Yeah, exactly. So it'd be structure. There's this socioeconomic, like there's a building. There are laws in place for organized labor and so forth. Now, what else? What else? We have Fae Ancestry. Now, we often relate the Fae to forests, which isn't unfair. Fae can exist in a lot of different areas, I would wager. We might not think of desert Fae. But do they exist? They could. What else? I'm a snob who looks down on those who can't appreciate fine art. Now, fine art I put in brackets because fine art can be fine art, in which case, if we have fine art, I think there would be a very, some kind of urban center, a place where people can actually afford to not do anything other than make art, or work on art, or improve artistic talents. Which sounds kind of weird, because in today's society, well, I mean, we're not 90% agrarian any longer. It doesn't take 90% of the population to feed the other 10%, and then every skilled job is drawn from that 10%. You know, it's shifted. But there's some kind of an urban area and this concept of art, which could then also mean a museum, or depending on how we're interpreting art, if it's not a sculpture, if it's not a painting, if art is actually in the craft of the ship. People can't appreciate a fine catamaran. They don't absolutely get googly-eyed over a sloop. You know, can you canoe? I'm full of witty aphorisms and have a proverb for every occasion. Maybe not necessarily something setting. I mean, we can always look at the negative space and say, well, maybe there's a library or whatnot. But you can hear witty aphorisms on docks. Believe you want some fun stories, you hang out at the docks for a while. Freedom. Everyone should be free to pursue his or her own livelihood. I pursue wealth to secure someone's love. So if we're talking an urban area, so there is this waterfront, there's perhaps a bank. Now, it could also be the guild. Her guild may act as a bank as well. Otherwise, there could be a bank to store our wealth. And then, well, that's an NPC queue. We're going to come back to that in a second. And I'm quick to assume that someone is trying to cheat me. I don't know if the flaw necessarily generates anything for the setting. And we don't have any spells or an animal companion to really flesh things out beyond that. Yeah, this might not be a, like a, well, you know what? I would argue, Paisy, that witty aphorisms would have a place, because even in the most serious of games, having that moment where the tension is broken by some comedic relief. You know, it could be as simple, just a fart joke, or it could be just situational humor that is very apropos. That can help to narrate the story, because once everyone feels calm again and they're not on alert for danger, that's when you strike. And actually, the Curse of Strahd module does a very good job of explaining that. I'd urge y'all to read it for that. Well, in part for that. There's a good content in there, too. Alright, so this is what Fleppany's giving us for our setting. Now, what about NPCs? What is existent in the world necessarily because she exists? Now, of course, you know, people have maws and paws, grandpas and meemaws and all that. So family and friends can always be, used. I'm looking for a specific, who is someone that would be not just a background NPC, not someone that in an anime would just be a basic gray outline. Maws and paws and meemaws. Pawpaws and meemaws. You're right, Cold Spark. We have, if we go here, there is a love interest. I want to secure someone's love. And we could go through a whole NPC building exercise. Who is this person? Who is he or she? And as well, are we talking romantic love? And what we were talking about in the building session too, is it familial love? Is this a parent lost the love of their child because of maybe the child's decisions? And also, welcome our raiders. My goodness, we Fiora the Tank Girl rated us with 17. Welcome aboard. We're going through a fun exercise we're doing world building based on nothing more than player sheets or character sheets. But hello. Let me welcome you. Hashtag fight depression with D&D. I've seen it happen. I've absolutely seen it happen. Yes, Paisy, you stole my thunder, and that's absolutely fine. A mentor or manager in the guild. Pardon me. My dad used to go by Grumpy instead of Grandpa, but my nephew made him change it because only dwarves can be named after an emotion. And, another good one, Gaffer and Gammer. Don't forget Gaffer and Gammer. But welcome, Tank Girl, what were you up to tonight before you decided to raid us? And I'm very grateful that you did. Welcome. Y'all have a seat at the tables. There's plenty of room in the shop for you. Absolutely. Now, we can... so there is the love interest. Again, that could be a romantic love, or that could be trying to find the love and acceptance of a parent or another family member, because she is a torn character. Not just because she is a half-elf. But she favors her human side, and yet her strongest side is that of her Fae ancestry. That magic just explodes through her. She's a channel for it. If not a mentor or manager in the guild, there may also be someone that she talks to about this. It could be a doctor. It could be, we're saying fight depression. It could be mental health. And by the way, this is a good opportunity to say once more on this channel that a lot of us look at medicine down here. A lot of us look at medicine as simply being able to put a Band-Aid on a boo-boo. Or when you're kids and you scrape your knee, You said, go get a leaf, put a leaf on it. That's not my content, by the way. You know, we often think of medicine in that regard. Have you ever considered that medicine can also be used emotionally or to help calm someone down in character? Or if someone is actually, if they're playing a character that, well, let's look purely mechanically, okay? Let's keep this to mechanics, because people who suffer from mental illness, it's a case-by-case basis. Everyone, you know, has their own thing going on, all right? I don't want to kind of throw, like, a broad net over people here. Medicine, theoretically, could be used to calm down a raging barbarian. You might say, well, but that's insight, or that could be persuasion. Is mental health or emotional health also not medicine? Instead of playing the doctor in the party, could you play the counselor Deanna Troy of the party? Could you be the counselor of the party? And many people might say, oh, well, that's, if I'm playing a cleric, why do I want medicine? You know, I just have magic that fixes boo-boos and makes them all go away and be better. Spells don't always fix stuff that's up here. Medicine, as a skill, however, might. Bear that in mind. Paisy says, perhaps the magic Fae Ancestry could be manifested as a physical character, the Fae person who's helping guide that magic. While I take your point, Deanna was a terrible psychologist and often actively hurt her patient. All right, so get the pop culture reference, but, you know, go from there. Look, you want to play Dr. Phil? Take medicine. You want to play, you want to play another type? Dr. Who was the, this is PG-13. Who was the sexual health doctor? Dr. Ruth? Was it Dr. Ruth that, you know, people could call in and talk about intimacy problems or marital stuff? Yeah. So you could play a Dr. Ruth and just give out very earthy advice. You know, that could very well be medicine. You know, there's a lot of different healths. There's more than just scratches and boo-boos to make better. You know, and I'm not saying it has to turn into an ERP session with your characters. If you play it at your table, that's fine. Look, I'm the last person to judge that sort of stuff. Absolutely. Well, but you see, Donnie, do you feel that made you a more informed person? Because it wasn't about the, you know, it wasn't about the sex. It was about understanding. It was about understanding yourself. Because it's such a foundation for who we are, you know, in different ways that we express it. And so just think about that. So I want to thank Tank Girl here for rating us, but also this is a good time to talk about that sort of stuff too. You know, as we're talking about mentors, managers, or in this case, someone who wants to help you come down from your barbaric outbursts. And Paisy, you brought up that point too. There could be some sort of Fae agent that is in on this and is sort of like a conductor or someone who might be traveling along or accessible, who can actually say, you know what, you're growing into your powers. It's fine. This happens. You're going through a magical puberty. And so right now you're finding powers where you had none before. And it's, you know, it could be a scary time. See, Donnie, there you go. And you know what? You aren't the only one. And so I think we can all, you know, kind of tongue-in-cheek, like, ha ha ha, I get it. I think a lot of people did that same thing. You know, because you're like, that's a object, an objet d'art that I see on there. And she's touching it and holding it. And meanwhile, you're like, oh, you know what? I never really thought about that in the scientific medical sense. All right, so anyway, so we have a love interest. Could be someone she's chasing after, someone who's chasing after her. Or again, if she lost the love of a family member, maybe this is to gain it back. Anything else here? I'm a snob who looks down on those who can't appreciate fine art. We might have someone with whom we talk about art. Now, this is probably not the most powerful NPC, but this could be an art aficionado. I definitely misspelled that. My goodness. Shame on me. Oh, it's one F. Everyone should be free. I pursue wealth. I'm quick to assume someone's trying to cheat me. And I think with that, we're going to come down to a prompt for a villain or a rival. You know, villains may want to destroy you, or in Saturday morning cartoon speak, they want to defeat you. A rival just wants to tease you, maybe beat you in a contest and feel superior. I mean, you can tell the difference here. And at some point in time, we've been cheated. We were swindled. We were bamboozled. We were hoodwinked. And who is that? Someone who left a lingering fear of being like cheated, scammed, or whatever. Could that be economic? Purely just about money? Could she want to guard her intellectual property as a shipwright? Like, other shipwrights are after my designs. Could this be a relationship issue? I mean, because it's not business, it's pleasure, or at least it was. And that could have been something about infidelity. It could even be that a romantic partner wasn't, if she's even monogamous. I don't know. It's our character. We didn't really discuss it. You know, in 2019, I think there are many people who have open-minded to having, polyamorous, demisexual, just like all sorts of folks that exist. And you could think about that too. Is this a lover that's a rival, a former lover who's a rival because of relationship or romantic issues that came up, or because it actually was the mixing of business and pleasure, where he or she or whomever ended up just getting tangled in more than the sheets, and things went sour from there. Yeah, it could be paranoia. Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely correct, Cold Spark. Yeah, in a competitive sense. A rival shipbuilder, the dude who makes 20 ships a day that basically work but aren't proper ships. Ah, the subject of our scorn. So yes, sort of maybe like a mass producer of ships, or I guess we could just say like a rival shipwright. You know, someone who makes stuff that works, and that's it. It's function, but there's no form. Like, there's no passion in it. There's no soul. Sure, you're paying twice as much for her ship to carry the same amount of cargo, but hers will not only look good getting there, it might actually even last longer because you're buying better material. Villainy can be a matter of perspective. And as a quick little hint, the name or the term villain really just started out as something along the lines of villager, just a common person. So in the perspective of someone who's base, and of course, who would rise up against the nobles, but the villagers. And so the villains who lived in the villas and the villages, ended up becoming villainized to be the villains that we know today. Because who knew that villagers would get upset at the nobles for whatever reason and try to undermine them or usurp them? What's a ship without a figurehead? How can they possibly leave it off? It's yeah, exactly. I love that you're getting into the psychology of the character, Paisley. And I would like to remind all of you, if you weren't around for this character creation, all of this was done randomly. Everything we're talking about is simply the manifestation from random number generation with a little bit of imagination. The ideal of freedom is giving me a hint that there might have been some kind of a movement or a boss. Like a bad boss or something like that. Now, if not the concept of a slaver who works at a dry docks or a facility that employs slave labor, and she believes, no, people should be free to create and think. Even if this is more of Pneumonica made a joke that we came up with, like sort of an ultra libertarian. I'm not getting political or anything, everyone. I'm making references. Whatever your political affiliation is, it's yours. Enjoy it. But this sort of, laissez-faire, everyone should be free to create. We kind of have an Andrew Ryan from BioShock, which of course is a derivative of Ayn Rand. But somewhere there's a bad boss. Possibly a slaver or someone who runs sweatshops or something else, which could also explain where she is finding freedom. Yes, she's in a guild. So, the days of yore, the get ye flask days of a modern union. But she finds the freedom in that because you're not working for the boss, you're working for yourself, and therefore you're earning your life in coin from the person from whom you're working. You're not working for the head honcho or whomever. Very good prompts, Paisley. Excellent. There you go, O'Sheeps. Oh, goodness. Now, what is something that we can draw from this character that would be a thematic or a moral cue? Do we have an element of romance? We most likely have an element of self-acceptance. And not just, look, every character has a flaw mechanically. I get that. This isn't a baseline, learn to accept your flaw and you'll be a complete person, which is true. I don't want to skip over that like that's not important. As we built the character, her explosions of rage and magic are because of she's trying to shut out this part of herself. She's trying to be more human, less Fae. And she can seal it away, but it's kind of like the Hulk. The big green energy just it bursts out, and things happen when that happens, and that one outburst can overshadow, a month of trying to build relationships, trying to build all of these aspects of her life, and all it takes is one rage. Pardon. All it takes is one rage. And perhaps that is literally or metaphorically destroyed. Rolled a pure rando half-elf noble that's like the complete opposite of this character. Oh, just wait till we get to the noble monk that we made, Refry. Maybe we'll sync up there. Let's see, anything that might be a moral conundrum she'll face, or, a pinch, a hard choice. This one can be difficult because if we're talking about thematic writing or universal writing, it is as such. Because thematic writing, which should be universal, should have cues that are accepted by anyone anywhere that is capable of reading. Because it's a fundamental part of humanity to us. And so that's why things like self-acceptance, we all need to accept ourselves. We're all flawed. We have to wear corrective lenses. we're overweight, we don't like our hair color or our eye color, we're dissatisfied with something, and yet it's us, right? We feel like, you know, well, I'm tired of waiting for my hair to grow out or whatever. Self-acceptance is something it's universal. We all go through. The grass is always greener. We're always trying to chase whatever. And yet, we're ourselves. And we can accept. You know, things can happen over time. You want to lose weight? Make lifestyle changes. You know? You want to grow your hair out? Be patient. What are you going to do in the meantime? Have fun with your hair in the meantime. Research new hairstyles you can wear as it grows out. That kind of a thing. Sounds like the character has a high level of requirements for themselves. They demand that they do things to a high standard or not at all, such as the fine art of ships. But they demand the same from themselves in relationships with other people. So this is... Alright, so Paisy, this is probably going to be an absolutely gross summary. I think I get what you're saying, but would loosen up be a something that this character could explore? The antagonist ideas in here sound like they might have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. Perhaps a consummate businessman with an extremely long-term goal, such as a new world order scenario. Oh, is what you're talking about, Sheeps, with your campaign, which has kobolds in it. If anyone likes kobolds, make sure you can talk to Cake Boss. Yeah, it's... I think I get the nuance that you're going for, Paisy, but instead of just putting... to keep it brief. So, again, pardon my gross underestimation, or not underestimation, but my underrepresentation of the concept. Loosen up is a redux of that. I think that works. All right. Just on this one character alone, look at the world that we've started to build. Look at what can exist thematically, geographically, demographically, or sociologically, in a literary fashion, as we're creating villains and villainous arcs. There's a cooldown on that, Donnie. Now, let's do the same thing with Barina. Barina is also a wild barbarian. However, whereas we were explaining that Fleppany here has her powers manifest because of the Fae blood within her, Barina may not mechanically be have Fae ancestry, you know, per the racial trait. Many consider gnomes to be descendants of Fae in lore, and you could do that in your own home game. They do not have a trait, a mechanical crunch trait that says as much. Though maybe her, you know, by being at least Fae affiliated, this could have opened her up, or rather, this has caused a liminality between her and the Feywild. Everything around gnomes is just a little bit more magical. That barrier of belief or disbelief is thinner, that liminality. The kismet of reality. Especially being a forest gnome, you could say, has opened her up. And as we were creating this character, we asked, what if something happened and she was put into a pact similar to an archfey warlock? Her body is receptive to Fey influence already, and so it perhaps is easier for it to manifest in her, and therefore her powers are similar. Of course, they are mechanically similar, to our other character. How she got them could be very different. Or, I think as we're going to discover, there could be someone behind the scenes. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're going to see it on the sheet here real soon. Maybe too harsh on herself. It's not really important, but it's in my head now. I like to imagine my gnomes in the Hobbit style. I could easily see the pipeweed smoking hobbits from the forest blending over into the Feywilds at times. Yeah, I mean, especially they're having a nice walk and they don't really care. They just want to travel somewhere, and you know, the Feywild just sort of overlays itself and then it overlays back out when they want to go home. It's not really a conscious effort. They just sort of do it. It's intrinsic to them. Yeah. There's a global cooldown and a personal cooldown on the commands. The cooldowns are listed down below. All right, what are some setting cues that we can get from Barina the Feybound? So, this is not necessarily a setting cue, though, well, perhaps if we're talking something foresty. She is a forest gnome as well. And a highway robber that often hide in woods to waylay. So perhaps there is some kind of a great forest with an important road. And of course, so this is a primary manifestation. This is backed up in a secondary manifestation or an interpretation. If there's a shipwright in this area, there's got to be a source of lumber, a source of wood. Now, something happened, by the way, to make her chaotic evil. Has she always been that way? Probably not. As far as we know, we only get to meet her as she currently exists. She could have been this way for 2 days, 2 years, 20 years. She's 92. Could be even longer. All right, so what else? I would rather make new friends than a new enemy. The best way to get me to do something is to tell me I can't do it. People, I'm loyal to my friends, not to any ideals, and everyone else can take a trip down the Styx for all I care. Now, this could prompt the River Styx to exist, or this could simply just be a euphemism that you can change, but you get the idea. This could also, be a setting. If she's not really an urban person herself, then, an expression amongst the forest folk might be, go take a trip to Big City. Whatever that is. Yeah, meanwhile, our other barbarians from the big city. So we can just put an undesirable place where people can go / stick it, or the sun don't shine. Let's see, I'm trying to pay off an old debt I owe to a generous benefactor. Not really a setting per se. I mean, if it's a physical manifestation, that might reinforce bank. Though as we're building the character, this is definitely not a mortal bank we're discussing. And I turn tail and run when things look bad. Nothing really in the setting, though I did pass over. Boop, boop, boop. We have the criminal background. Now this does manifest, of course, an NPC by its mere existence. This also can manifest a thieves guild or similar. And in her case, what if instead of a criminal contact for being a criminal, what if this is actually a Fae contact, as we were discussing? Someone who's sure, like she's repaying debt, or a debt. And this is the fence. This is the quest giver. This is the person who's on the inside of this organization that's giving her the things that she needs to do to repay the debt. And so if it's not a thieves guild, then it's some kind of a Fae Conclave or something along those lines. Hey, Shukan, welcome. Trust of Flump busted into the new... Trust of Flump busted into the new brick of Monster Menagerie 1. Uh-oh, Shukan. Alright, well, hey, you don't have to stick around here. Go do what you gotta do, Shukan. Take care of what you need to take care of. You gotta take care of yourself and your family first, alright? If you gotta go, then head out. Do what you need. Do what needs doing, alright? You know I appreciate you being here. Your conversation, your contributions to our conversations in our workshops. But if you're having a family emergency, do what you gotta do first. Thinking the highway is a waterway in the forest, the gnomes make a financial deal. Ah, so in this case, you know, because we do have, by the way, we said a body of water, which could be a major river. We have a highwayman that could be a river bandit, of course. So a forest with an important road / river. All right, now for an NPC, this is where the story, the discussion between the DM and the PC can take place. Would this Fae contact be an NPC, or if the generous benefactor is acting more like a warlock patron, which could be an NPC, could be even a rival. Barina has something held over her head. A generous benefactor came in and apparently gifted her with powers. Was that because her life was saved? Was that because she needed something? I mean, not. I know, Shukan. I'm not saying this to highlight your situation, but what if she had a family emergency? What if she had a child that was in danger, or a relative that was perhaps at risk of dying, if not to acquire a rare flower or something, whose pollen could be made into, a medicine. And so, a pact was made. I will give you this medicine, and after 5 years, just to make sure it works, I will empower you, because you're going to need, spend those 5 years learning what you can about the world, as I have a need for you, and you'll repay me back for this service. We have something along those lines. Look at Grim Fairy Tales and whatnot. Look at Rumpelstiltskin. The Fae are tricksters. The Fae can be beautiful and fair and whatnot, sure. The Fae, you want to talk about devils having contracts or a devil's deal? You want to talk about shrewd negotiators or tricksy contracts? Look at a Fae contract. Look at the fairy tales. Perhaps the same when gifting both NPCs, they rescued some angry rebellious PC by giving them Fae powers. A single angry Fae making the life of mortals harder for reasons. So I really like the idea of Fae gifting powers. Perhaps the same one gifting both NPCs. Oh, so we're talking a Fae agent up above. Could be. In fact, what if this was even the case? What if Barina looks at the person to whom she owes this debt as a rival, or even nearly a villain? And what if that Fae agent up here, who's helping to grant her powers, is the same one granting her powers, but these two characters look at the same person differently? Ooh, as a DM, this creates delicious conflict. Delicious. Muy delicioso. Perhaps, Paisy. Keep that in mind for just a second here. So if we're looking at the Fae contact, I think we could drop that in a villain or rival, and that's going to create a very interesting dynamic here. Now, of course, if we're the DM, we don't let the players know that. Save that for your narrative. Save that for, you know, whatever, 5 levels in, and people are traveling, and then the NPC pops up, and as you describe it, both your players are like, oh, that's whatever. Oh, that's Kola'o. And both of them look at each other. Wait, you know Kola'o? At the same time? Of course I do. Kola'o is the one that gave us, you know, that gave me powers. And suddenly at the table, and as the dungeon master, you just sit back and enjoy. That's your night off. You let your players play. Ultimate lazy DM. Now, a possible NPC, because we can speak with small beasts. Maybe we have a pet. Maybe we have, you know, a deer, a turtle, or something. A fish. A favorite small beast we talk to. Because we are a gnome. I'd rather make a new friend than a new enemy. So this is probably implying she's made, she's made an enemy or two along the way because of her behavior. Pardon. And this is what's most compelling, and why I see her as being given powers as sort of a loan, similar to a warlock. She has turned impulsive and selfish, right? She has a desire to be around people. She wants to have friends. And yet, look, there's a great pressure. She has to do something. She has to answer to someone. She has to repay something. And so she is going to do everything she can get away with to repay this generous benefactor. And so it could have turned a good, if mischievous girl bad. What forced her, if anything forced her, maybe she just always had this penchant to be impulsive. I gotta get it now. I have to get the goods. I have to get the gold. I have to do the day. Make a song out of it. Why not? For the half-elf, the Fae is the power of vengeance. For the gnome, the Fae have been the guardians for generations, which is the same thing from TUE's perspective. All right. Welcome Party RPG has come seeking enlightenment with 10 others. Thank you very much. Welcome. Everyone, welcome the Welcome Party with some howdies, some how-do-you-do's, some emotes, and otherwise some love. Welcome Party RPG, what were you up to tonight? And thank you for coming over for the raid. And so, I think with Barina, Paisy, as you're pointing out here, a moral cue that we can take as the DM from this character sheet. The same thing, but different. Or two sides of the same coin. The burrow is invading! Everyone, get to the walls! Accept the invaders! Give them cookies. Cookies such as this. Caught a raid into a raid. All right, well, hey, welcome in, Torn Pixie. Thank you. I'm glad. Well, I'll tell you what. You know what? We need something a little festive. We're talking about the Fae. We're talking about story planning. We have some positive raids going on. I think it's time that we have a little bit of a halfling festival going on in the background. So if you want some cheerful music and perhaps some fireworks, I got you covered. She's previously coerced into a Thieves Guild-like structure by the evil mass-produced boat builders. Ah! She caused some damage, and they demanded repayment by service, with the cost getting larger and larger over time. Ah, so it's that whole, you know, that you owe your soul to the company store here. Though she probably would have been put out to harvest lumber, right? Maybe not working in the shipyards, but or she was caught. She was caught messing with the lumberjacks out that were supplying wood to the evil boat builder in that case. If y'all aren't doing a wiggle in your seat, then you either aren't getting in the music or you don't have to use the bathroom. In that case, Paisley, it is delightful because Fleppany would pity Barina and also despise Barina at the same time. This is a bop. Which can include the rival shipbuilder to Fleppany. And so a moral cue for her would also be, what are you willing to pay to get what you want? Is the juice worth the squeeze? By getting these powers, she was granted the ability at the time to just explode in Fae power and take people out. And she's used to living alone, or she's used to just be, not really caring about the others in that regard. So to her, her exploding barbarian powers, mechanically, are a gift. However, to Fleppany, she's social. She lives in a city. If you explode with necrotic power in 30 feet all around you, that is devastating. That will get you arrested or killed on the spot. Your gift is a curse. Meanwhile, Barina is like from Colossus from the arcade game. Exploding with power. Using the Fae energy to just destroy these loggers and these exploitative people. Fleppany sounds like a Pisces. Yeah. So they would both be attracted and kind of disgusted with each other. And who knows? What if Fleppany, who's been pining after someone, realizes during the story that Barina is actually the one who is most compatible with her. And so the love that she was trying to pursue was either one-sided, or it just wasn't going to happen, despite her ideals. But once she learned to loosen up, or just accept herself or others, what if during the story, Fleppany and Barina find themselves, and they're so close together because they despise aspects of each other, but they're also bound to each other in interesting ways. And that could turn into a relationship even. That could be interesting, O'Sheeps. All right. Now, and for all of you who've joined us, over the course of the week, we reviewed the Unearthed Arcana for the new Barbarian and the Monk. We made 2 Barbarians, and we made 2 monks using that. Tonight, we're going over ways that you can make a party worksheet and show that just because your party of 4 has 2 barbarians, 2 monks, 2 gnomes, and 2 criminals, we're hitting the trifecta of things here that make your character. You have an extremely diverse party that can absolutely do a bunch of things together as players, and especially if your dungeon master is involved, the impact on the world to be run is juicy. It's a juicy morsel just waiting to be snapped up for storytelling. Your players do so much work for you as a DM if you're just willing to look at their sheets, right? All right, now what about Arma? Now we're getting into our monks. Do we have a setting cue for Arma? Well, so she's a monk that seemingly infers training in a monastery. That doesn't have to be the case necessarily, though. Some people teach themselves martial arts. Or in this case, this is a manifestation. This is some kind of an astral manifestation of one's inner self. Your soul takes on a stand. I mean, a persona. I mean, a Pokemon. I mean, a Digimon. And you use that to fight. Now, Arma is a rock gnome. Or a babe, sure. We're roll initiative. What's the definition of barbarian? Because it seems to have changed from the original. I don't know how to answer that, Maladroit, by what a definition of a barbarian is. Well, so maybe the Unearthed Arcana... I don't think the Unearthed Arcana really changed that. Because I think if we go to the foundation, a barbarian is someone who, similar to others, but in a different way, expresses themselves in their emotions to supernatural ability. Now, Arma, we have a second gnome, so we don't just have a random forest gnome. We have 2 gnomes that are living in the same area enough to be in the same group together. This is going to imply, in a primary fashion, that there is some kind of a gnome society around, where forest gnomes or rock gnomes, I don't know if you consider them, you know, different races or species of gnomes, but there's definitely a gnome society. Could even be the major society here. Maybe this is an almost exclusively Fae setting. You have elves, you know, some half-elves, gnomes. The centaurs from Ravnica are actually Fae. They're not humanoid. Remember that for your spells. If you're playing Oath of the Ancients Paladin, you're going to make your buddy run away from you if you blow up with Divine Power. So that could be something, right? We are a noble, but specifically we're a knight. This is going to imply, of course, that there's a structured society, that there's some place that that we've learned to fight. So a manor or a castle or an academy where we have learned the art of war and we studied. Especially because she has aspirations, my friends. We have a neutral evil monk here with aspirations to be the best, like no one ever was. And she, like, as an anime character, she's the blonde-haired character with 2 drill ponytails who just always goes around going, oh, ho, 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 ho. She be trifling. This implies that Arma is in the core of the society, that they are or were likely comfortable with a typical gnomish society. And the gnome society doesn't even have to be the main setting where we start. It could be a distant kingdom or whatever. Which is solid contrast to Barina, who it sounds like is not a typical gnome. Yeah, Barina's, I think, is more the loosey-goosey. You know, I live in the woods. I'm happy here. There might be like a village, you know, a village of gnomes in the forest. Let's see. My eloquent flattery makes everyone I talk to feel like the most wonderful and important person in the world. Oh, ho, 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 ho. If I can attain more power, no one will tell me what to do. Sorry, she was brought up as a knight. She was brought up maybe as like a branch family to a main family. So you sort of have this heritage of like genetic retainers that will serve the family. She could be in this branch family, and she despises it for whatever reason. You know, Black Wolf was saying she's a Hime dairy. And of course, we're talking about all the dairy species that exist in anime. Though something happened where she has this ambition, no one's going to tell me what to do anymore. And so we have this gnomish hierarchy. It doesn't have to be a monarchy. I think that's a nice bread and butter example that we can all relate to. Her ideal is power. Ho, 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 ho. My house's alliance with another noble family must be sustained at all costs. That is her bond. She is on a mission. And so she herself has a house or territory, along with another's. So there are at least 2 prominent families / houses. And lastly, I hide a truly scandalous secret that could ruin my family forever. Oh, 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 oh. Of course, that could be something absolutely shameful. What else would lay low such a prideful woman but something very, very taboo or very scandalous? Something that she is willing to, in court, others in court, to keep the secret. That very well could have something to do with this alliance to another house. Was it a dalliance with a lover? Was it a secret child she had? She went away on sabbatical for a few years. I don't know what gnomish gestation is. Maybe she had a child while she was away and gave it up. And if anyone ever learned, but of course, who could find out if she was the one in control? And of course, if anyone did, she would just have them put out. Your immediate thought was a secret child? Oh, she showed her ankles once. Oh, jeez. Is the Gnome Society fairly insular? Perhaps she did meet a nice centaur dude when she was supposed to be marrying into another house. Ah, see? That's true. So here, as an NPC, we may well have a secret lover, a secret lobster even, a secret lover / a love child. I mean, what else would a monk have? You hide the lobsters on you, and when it gets time, you know, it's time for business to defeat the Huns. You put the lobsters on, their legs wrap around, and you start punching with lobster claws. Maybe she's kind of looked down on for being too old to be single, while she's taking time to go to the edge of the forest with her partner. Ah, now Paisley, consider this. All right, consider this. She is 345 years old. In gnomish years, she is well seasoned. She is a seasoned citizen. However, as a monk, you get what's called Timeless Body. Timeless Body means that you do not suffer the effects of old age, the physical effects. You still will die of old age at some point. However, depending on when she attained her monkhood, or this level of it, what if she's 345, but doesn't look a year over 102? And so she is not, in fact, a spring chicken. However, she has beautiful ankles with very nice tight skin over the ankle bone. Maybe centaurs don't live that long and she made a secret promise to herself not to get married. Oh. And a good morning to you, Delcorn. So, yes, all the prompting. You know, if she's already a knight, she has position of privilege as her background. She could have very well have been an epic level character. She could have had Timeless Body for the past 200 years. And so everything from there has been machinations, and machinations that span lifetimes. She is neutral evil through her expression. She is a selfish woman. Me. It's about me. My goals, my aspiration. I will rule you. She's turning all the heads. Yeah. To this day, they still speak of the beauty of her ankles. And as this knight, she is observant, has a keen mind. She's skilled in, we gave her some skills up here, as well as the calligraphy tool use. And she's a mage slayer, by the way, which that could very well go into the secret as well. And if not the secret, how did she come into this astral self? Was this she studied and she had such ambition that her will is so powerful, her desire to rule and do anything to do so actually manifested as in whatever form came out of her came out? What if I say, all right, I am going to put an idea out there, and I'm doing it in the context of the discussion we're talking about. So for anyone who has experienced the loss of a little one that you've had in your life, this is not to make fun of it. We're simply romanticizing a concept in a D&D game. What if the child suffered some kind of misfortune and her astral self that projects out of her is that child? Or the child might not have been born, but, you know, was miscarried. And that snapped her. Again, this could be a heavy topic. I'm not here to bring people down, or real life stuff, our stuff. Now, it doesn't even have to be that. These are thoughts that come up, though. And I want to make sure that you all do feel empowered. You can touch on taboo subjects, on touchy subjects. You can explore the death of an infant or a child that was supposed to be born and never was, as compelling storytelling. So don't be afraid to do so. I mean, if you're just going to go around like, oh, her, yeah, she just can't carry a kid. Ha, ha, ha. Isn't that funny? You know, she's infertile and sleeps around all with it. You know, you could be, there are people who will be absolutely, you know, insensitive and just making callous comments, either to rile people up or because they've never experienced it, right? There's an ignorance to that person, and it's coming out very crassly for other, you know, personality expression reasons. But this is another good prompt. You know, think about these things. What drives a person to this? What created a chaotic evil forest gnome? Great pressure. Great pressure is causing her to save and skimp and scam her way to repay this generous benefactor ASAP before something happens. After modding so many channels with no colored text rule, I get to click timeout every time I see it. Gnomes can't have centaur babies. A trauma froze her body. So maybe, yeah, so maybe a dalliance occurred. Something happened, and maybe she actually found out she was pregnant from the dalliance. But something happened because of the liminality of being a Fae ancestor, or a wash of Fae radiation energy or something occurred, and the child was absorbed or enhanced or something along those lines. And hello, Gaming Princess Luna. Welcome, thank you for the follow. And I promise anything we're talking about right now has context. We're not trying to be weird. We're weird naturally. We're not going out of our way for that. We're trying to build a compelling character and a backstory based off of the things that we've written down on our sheet here. Hey, XCat, also welcome. Full trash romance. Sent to slay a mage, but the mage was a hot centaur dude, so they got secretly married. Look, as a knight, she might have very well been loyal to the family. And then something happened. You're exactly right, Paisy. And then something happened. And so you have these two Fae-blooded creatures, and she was sent out on a mission. She was very loyal to her house, and she still is, but now things happened, and we have a story. Natural Wield is good. So, thank you for coming by. Gaming Princess Luna, or if you prefer Luna, or however you'd like me to address you, what were you doing tonight before you came over to say hi? Oh, we're talking benefactors? Did the Fae take the... Of course! I even said Rumpelstiltskin! Of course the Fae steal babies! Oh my goodness, it was in front of me this whole time, Paisy. Of course! The Fae Witch instilled mystic power in her body and holds her Fae child in response. And to finish that, the house that she serves honors the Fae, maybe even the Fae villain. And she can't get her kid back until she can take all of the house's forces into the Feywild and bring down this son of a hand crossbow. I mean, I could say son of a gun, which is itself not bad. I think we're creating a very compelling villain by looking at elements from each of the characters here.
Economy, need more paper.
No Fae would steal a babby. Yeah, right, X-Can. All right, Donnie, I will pull a capsule for you here real quick, real soon. We're almost finished with the workshop. Writing with Fae? I'm not familiar with that. As an advocate for Fae, she would have lost it through a deal or did not keep, depending on the wording. Talking perspective, the Fae took the baby to protect it since it's an unnatural mixture that can't live in the world. But from the PC's perspective, the guardian she reveres has stolen her baby. And you know what? Having a compelling villain that you might actually be able to agree with makes for very good villains. Oh, as in Physaris. Oh, yeah. Okay, Luna. Oh, well, if you two are colluding, well, if Fae is around, say hi to her for me, please. Yeah, oh, that's great. Welcome. I hope you're having fun writing. We certainly are. So in that case, if you're with Fae, at least regionally, then Guten Morgen to you. Hope you're having a good Sunday. Oh, this is excellent. Excellent, excellent. A bad deal is a solid idea. What better time to make a deal than while the mother's away from society in the forest, screaming in pain while she gives birth? Now, a thematical or moral cue. In this case, the things a parent will do for her child, which would include tearing the order apart, breaching the Feywild, commanding an army stolen from a rival family that apparently supports this this bad guy. Oh, I said bad guy. The things a parent will do for a child. And the lesson learned from bottling anger and resentment. And we now have two people who are directly following love in two different ways. Oh, well, I'm not aware of any incidents in that regard. However, Luna, if Fae disagrees, that is absolutely within her right. And so, Luna, if you would be kind enough to do so, please tell Fae Saris that we say hello to her. And if she ever does come back, then she's welcome to hang out, or you and her are always welcome to join us on our Discord in that regard too. Moral cues, thematic cues, and in this case, the party's going to catch on that she is going to do everything, right? Now she's going to be that right. She'll play it off, machinations. She'll play it cool, and yet over time, as she manifests these powers, as more of her story is brought up, they're going to realize that she is willing to burn the world down for her child. And especially for a child that shouldn't exist. Legally, morally, maybe even genetically. Existentially. She just told me that you might want to keep an eye on your Discord for a moment. Oh, okay. Will do. Now, lastly but not leastly, we have Kathir Atrafa. This character we actually randomly rolled into being a multi-classed character who is a necromancy wizard, as well as being an astral self monk. And what's extra interesting, yes, we have another criminal, but specifically, we have a blackmailer. And who's in the party? A knight with a secret. If you set up a situation like this, for sure, you know, talk about this individually with the player character, so you can give that character cues that you might have. You know, you're putting a plant on the inside. Wink. Of course, that doesn't have to be the link. Maybe Kathir and Arma never have crossed paths. All right, XCat, thank you very much for stopping by, for saying howdy to us. I hope you do well in Overwatch. All right. Now, Kathir, is there a setting that we can get for him? Well, There's probably a wizard tower or a college or a library or some place where he studied the dead. This could also be a some sort of church or other temple where the dead are revered or where you can find knowledge. There's no problem with a wizard learning spells and lore. You know, it's not just reserved for clerics. So we have some kind of a library, temple, / maybe even a graveyard / hospital as well that could exist that, you know, deliver or study or even try and remedy dead people, as well as to understand the magic and the influence that you can have. Now, we're a blackmailer, and so this means that we do have a criminal contact. And so this is probably more a traditional criminal contact with a thieves guild or a tabloid that's willing to take his hints as a blackmailer. Or some sort of like an information fence. In fact, he might have even studied necromancy in, you know, instead of temple, we can even just say a monastery. Now, let's get something a little spoopy for him, shall we? He's not a bad person, per se. Of course, we have evil people who are actually really good at heart. So he's chaotic good, so he might be the worst of the worst. We'll see. According to her, to see which servers have set up the roles and which channel streaming is allowed in. I'm not sure what the experiment is then, Luna. I always have a plan for what to do when things go wrong. I blow up at the slightest insult. Don't know if there's necessarily a setting, per se. I mean, an urban setting, you make a lot of plans, you're kind of going in and out, eavesdropping as a blackmailer. Freedom. Once more, the notion of freedom comes up. And through two different backgrounds. This is a very good hint that we probably have some sort of a forced labor, conscripted, or indentured servitude or slavery going on. Freedom. Chains are meant to be broken, as are those who would forge them. So some kind of a tyrant. So this could be the bad guy's business, chaining people, literally or metaphorically. I will become the greatest thief that ever lived. It's not necessarily the same ambition as taking the throne as Arma has. I have a tell that reveals when I'm lying. No real setting information there. Discord started a new feature where people can stream games and you basically join an in-app stream, and I guess you can change it in your Discord and not allow that to show. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what to make of that. Maybe I'm just not processing what that means. Right. Now, what about an NPC? Oh, whoops. Haha, I was typing setting cues into the NPC section. That's why we have Control X. Oh. Is this dangerous? Is this something I need to address? Now, as for an NPC, we certainly do have our criminal contact. Who's our friend on the inside? Who's our journalist? Who's our fence? So, criminal contact, our background feature, is an NPC for sure. We might even have someone. Who employs such a person, such as a vengeful noble who employs a blackmailer to bring down the noble families so that she can continue to rise. And of course, she uses her position of privilege. So there's always an alibi. I don't know what you're talking about. I was seeing Lord so-and-so about the who's-its and what's-its. And of course, who could feed Kathir juicy gossip but Arma? If not as an employer, as an informant. Or both. You dress up and you play dark and shadowy at some meetings, and others, you're the employer, but you're also a supplier. You're playing both sides. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to have to digest this when I'm not having my brain filled with other stuff right now. I appreciate it, don't get me wrong. I am not... I see the words. They're not catching in my brain right now. So we'll talk about this when the workshop is over shortly. Yeah, please make notes. Please, please, please. All right, what other NPC contact? Well, we probably have a mentor or a wizard or something else who taught us. Our necromancy teacher, who very well actually may have used necromancy, in this case, to awaken this astral self. Astral projection is a necromancy spell. It is a 9th level necromancy spell. What if even we were trying to blackmail and got caught up in an astral projection? And as payment, or as a way to take a youth that otherwise, could have just been, killed, probably no one asked questions, and even enslaved in undeath, to have this person work for the wizard. Especially because he showed this interesting reaction and can make these astral arms that do necrotic damage. By the way, you can have them do necrotic damage, if I'm recalling correctly. That can deal necrotic damage. Summon these spectral arms. And so he was taught and brought on as a way to learn how to use them. And in a sense is an experiment. And that's how we get this crossover. Oh, well, Shukan, we're going to be here for a while still yet. And so you're stuck with us. I say that with sincerity and a smile. You're welcome to be here. If you need a distraction, you need to help pass the time, we'll do that. Thank you, Paisley. Because a lot of this stuff I absolutely do need. I need the Redux. Okay, NPCs. A villain. What would be a villain? we might have a villain we hope to bring down because of our pursuit of blackmail. What's going on? Is this, are we trying to blackmail the pure businessman, the one who's oppressing people? Or a noble? This could tie us with all the other characters in different ways. Or a villain. We might not even have a villain. It's our job. It's just something we do. We're 27. What are we doing with a villain? You know, we could be new to the world even. We might not even have a villain. Or you could just say the villain is bad guys. I want to, like, as a quote from this character, bad guys I want to bring down because they hurt other people. So generally, if he hears someone's a bad guy, he's gonna go get him, right? Test him out. He's kind of a living weapon, an interesting magical experiment. And he has a very unique skill set because of the focus on necromancy and this manifestation, which of course we're going to get to explore, that not only is it the Fae beings that are touched. Is this a planar thing? Well, if tieflings can carry the magic as well. Interesting where we could go with this. This could be a side plot or a subplot. Personal villain, they are against oppression, so they're looking to find oppression, which could hopefully lead... Yeah, so this is... A character like this is excellent, even as a support and as a lead. You have someone who is actually just loosey-goosey, will associate with any plot thread that's out there, because he's looking...
$5 for gacha, delivered to O'Sheeps.
All right, I will pop a gotcha for O'Sheeps here shortly. And there's nothing wrong with having someone playing a character that is, yes, I will go in these directions. I'm along for the ride. I'm here to help. I'm here to find whatever the world holds. And in this case, he may not be bringing support to a villain. We already have 3 strong supports for a villain. He may not necessarily be, you know, bringing on a huge part. You know, if we're chasing the Fae and all this other stuff, you know, this could very well be a part, you know, that they go to. But it doesn't have to be the main spoke, or the main... You know, well, the spoke of the wheel is like one of the little things here. The main axle. It's simply a spoke of the wheel. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And you know what? You can come here, have a graveyard adventure over the course of the campaign. Do a dungeon. Do. You push a tombstone. Now we got to go in. Oh, Kathir didn't even know this existed. Kathir is absolutely along for the ride because he's curious and wants to uncover oppression and secrets in everything, because there's secrets all over. This isn't just an out. This is an excellent character that supports all the other characters and can even lead the charge. He's not leading from the rear. To adventure! I'm gonna go find stuff out. I'm gonna go talk to people. I know other journalists, or I know other people who eavesdrop or peep. Ooh. Maybe he's seen Arma's ankles. Just saying. He might have seen her ankles. And what's beautiful about this procedure as well, again, if these were character sheets handed to us by players, we have a player, maybe he's new or just wants to lay back during an adventure. Maybe he's always playing the lead, you know, the heavy emotional role. And he wants the kind of fun, laid-back person who absolutely, like, adores playing the game and being a part of a world in character. But this session, he's here to play. Just, yeah, tell me what to do. I'll go and cover it. You know, full of action, just not a particular direction. Then we have two that really want to step up and are willing to roleplay, being at each other's throats and getting, you know, I disagree. Well, I disagree harder. And then they kiss. In character. I mean, out of character, too. I don't know how friendly they are. That's your table, not mine. This is all, you know, theory crafting here. But remember, there are different player styles as well as the characters and everything else that you can run. And so from this, everyone, I dare say, from 4 character sheets we randomly generated, we have a beautiful foundation for a story of love, redemption, revenge, and more. Refry, that's how you got married? I hate you more. Oh yeah, I hate you so much that I'm never gonna I'm never gonna let you leave. Let's get married. Okay. Oh goodness. Alright. So I have some capsules to pop, but I gotta get up. I'm gonna take a quick walk, refresh myself. And when we return, let's open some gacha capsules and have fun. We can still discuss the story. Paisy, hey, throw out ideas. I'm loving it. We have a good... We're cross-moginating. Pardon me. But anyway, I'll be back shortly, everyone.